Well, I think it helps to start with first an observation that I've made among many high-achieving people I've met in their lives. And I've asked them, who were one of the persons in your life that was most influential in your life? And every single person I've met picks out a teacher along the way. Sometimes it's a math teacher for an engineer, but just as often it's an English teacher or a Latin teacher or somebody who taught history. I think each of us has that kind of encounter and has shaped their lives. As the son of a woman who taught in high school in Bed-Stuy, and then the spouse of a woman who taught down in San Jose, I think we all see the challenge and the rewards of being a great teacher. A number of years ago, when we got a grant from the Carnegie Foundation, I went back for a meeting in this grant, a program called Teachers for a New Era. We got in a long conversation about the education of teachers, and it was my first real exposure to the challenges of preparing next generation individuals to be great teachers. And what became clear was we could inspire young people to go into teaching careers. We could do a great job of preparing them. But we as a society also had to change. We had to be prepared to regard teaching as a high-status profession, which in the US not only means according it a status in terms of how people think about it, think about doctors, lawyers. Look at college professors, high-status profession, reasonably well compensated. Why don't we put the same attachment to the people who deal with the most valuable asset the US has, our children? So we have to rethink that. And I think you see lots of key measurements that are made. In the US, the vast majority of people who go into teaching careers come from the lower third of the class in terms of achievement in college. In the rest of the world, they come from the top third. In Finland, teaching is the high-status profession. You make almost as much as a doctor. In the US, you make about a third what the typical average MD makes if you're in the teaching profession. And of course, one of the worst things about this is that the best teachers don't go necessarily to the poorest districts. And when you look at the degree of preparation and what they're ready for, in many cases, the people who are least prepared go to the most challenging districts. And we're doing the wrong thing from a societal viewpoint. We're doing just the opposite of what we should do. We should be investing more money in the children who are most challenged and come from the toughest backgrounds. Of course, when it gets to the issue of preparing the next generation for what they need to know in science and math, things get worse rapidly. We can't attract enough teachers, particularly in the teaching of science and math, especially when we get to high school. And that plays out in lots of different ways. It plays out in terms of our test scores and how they compare internationally to other test scores. I think we have to re-professionalize the teaching corps. We have to train great people, and my colleagues here will talk about how we fix that. But I think we as a society need to change as well, and we need to put more value on it. And in the US, let's face it, the salary you earn says something about how important your profession is. And it doesn't need to be a one-for-one match. Not all professions have different requirements, but it says something about it. How do we convert it back to a meritocracy? How do we convert it to something where we look at devising probably new methods for looking at how effective teachers are and feed that back into the system and think about how we do that? It's up to us to make that change. If we really want to ensure that the next generation has the kinds of opportunities that I think this country can offer, if the ladder that enables somebody to go from a very poor beginning in a family up to real achievement in the US is going to be maintained, it's going to begin in K-12. It's going to begin when they first come into school and we begin to build that. And we as a society owe all our young people a decent start at education and their lives. Thank you.